You ever have one of those moments where everything just stops, like the air gets thick, your ears go fuzzy, and all you can hear is your own heartbeat? That's exactly how it felt when Tracy from HR slid that sheet of paper across her cheap IKEA desk. 60% pay cut, effective immediately. I just stared at it, like maybe, if I blinked hard enough, the number would change. 60 freaking %. I didn't cry it then. I smiled. I actually smiled and said, I'll need 24 hours to consider this offer. Like I was some soulless executive, instead of a single mom who just got gutted by a company she'd given 9 years of her life to. The tears came later, alone in my car, parked in the garage, oddly sobbing, the kind that shakes your whole body and fogs up the windows. Because what do you do when the company you helped build tells you, flat out, that you're worth less than half of what they paid you yesterday? Right, I should introduce myself. I'm Eleanor Reeveselly, 36, single mom to a brilliant 10-year-old boy named Lucas, and until that meeting, I was the Director of Client Solutions at Mary Technologies. Even now, 3 years later, it's hard to talk about. If you're watching this, do me a favor, like, comment, whatever, just let me know someone's out there, that I'm not screaming into the void, that someone else knows what it's like to have your whole world collapse in a 15-minute meeting. So, Merrick. I started when it was just 20 of us packed into a converted warehouse, one of those scrappy startups where everyone swears they're changing the world. We had the ping pong tables, the free LaCroix, the beer on tap, Fridays, all the trendy startup junk that feels like culture until it doesn't. I was hired as a client manager, and I worked my ass off. Late nights, weekends, missed birthdays, canceled vacations, all the things you swear you won't sacrifice but end up sacrificing anyway, because you believe in what you're building. And I was damn good. 3 years in, I was managing our 10 biggest accounts, clients responsible for over 70% of our revenue. I knew their systems, their pain points, their kids' names. These weren't just clients, they were relationships I'd built from the ground up. Then Lucas's dad decided that fatherhood and marriage were limiting his growth and ran off to Austin with a yoga instructor named Sky Eyes. Really, my job wasn't just work anymore, it was survival. By year 5, I'd earned my title, director. I had a team of 8, equity, a salary that let me cover our mortgage, Lucas's asthma meds, and still sleep at night. For the first time since the divorce, I felt secure. Then came Martech. I remember that all-hands meeting like it was yesterday. Vernon Chan, our founder, stood on the little stage in the break room, smiling like he hadn't just sold us off. An exciting new chapter, he said. With Martech's resources, we can scale our vision. Everyone clapped. I sat there wondering why Vernon couldn't meet anyone's eyes. He walked away with $3 million, fully vested. The rest of us, our equity was slashed, and the vesting clock reset. At first, not much change, just logos, email signatures, some extra meetings. I still had my team, still had my clients. Then the layoffs began. First the juniors, then middle management, always framed as realigning operations or enhancing efficiency. Each time, another desk Saturday empty. I kept my head down, pushed harder. My team dropped from 8 to 3. Our workload didn't shrink, if anything, it doubled. I was working 70-hour weeks, replying to emails at 3 a.m., having quiet panic attacks in bathroom stalls. Lucas noticed. He asked why I looked so tired, why I missed his soccer games, why I was always on my laptop. And still he believed I was safe. I managed the accounts that paid everyone's salaries. They needed me. That's what I felt. Until Tracy scheduled a quick touch base. I should have known something was off when I saw Dennis Porter from Martech in the room. Dennis, with his plastic smile and conspicuous Rolex. Dennis, sent to streamline things. Eleanor, he began. Ellie, we've been reviewing org structure and believe there's an opportunity to bring your compensation in line with market standards. Like I was a spreadsheet cell that needed adjusting. Then came the paper. $52,000, down from $130,000. This reflects your evolving role, he said, like he was offering me a compliment. We're centralizing client management at headquarters. You'll transition into a regional support function. Translation: we're gutting your job and your paycheck, but we still need you to do the work. You'll retain your current responsibilities during the transition, he added. Tracy, eyes down, mumbled, we'll need a decision by tomorrow. If I declined, they'd look for someone aligned with the new structure. Translation: someone cheaper, more desperate. And they knew I couldn't afford to walk away. They knew about Lucas, his meds, my mortgage. This wasn't an offer, it was a threat. I said I need 24 hours, voice calm, heart pounding. I have a few questions about the transition plan and reporting structure. They nodded like I was being oh so reasonable. I don't remember walking back to my desk or packing up my laptop. Just sitting in my car, shaking, wondering how I'd tell Lucas we might lose our home. Then my phone rang. Kira-chan, a former colleague who'd left married months ago. I almost didn't answer, but I figured why not. Hey, stranger, I said. Ellie, I've been trying to reach you all week. Have you checked LinkedIn? I hadn't. I was too busy holding everything together. Well, listen, she said. I'm at Nexus now. You know they're MarTech's biggest competitor, right? My boss keeps asking about you. We need someone with your experience. Would you be open to a conversation? I looked up at Marek's new logo on the building, thought about Dennis, Vernon, the betrayal. Actually, I said, tonight works. When I got home, Lucas was already asleep. I missed bedtime again. I opened my laptop, dug out my employment contract. No non-compete. Marek had been too idealistic for that when I joined. MarTech had updated us legacy folks. Their oversight. At 9:30, I called Kira back. Can you get me on a call with your boss tomorrow morning, before I respond to Marek? That bad? Worse, 60% pay cut, same workload, maybe more. She was silent for a beat. Then, I'll text Cameron now, give me 15. Cameron Reed, CEO of Nexus Technologies, MarTech's biggest competitor in the company that had spent years trying to poach our clients. 20 minutes after Kira's call, my phone rang again. Eleanor, this is Cameron Reed from Nexus. Kira tells me we need to meet first thing tomorrow. His voice was calm, confident, no corporate fluff. Yes, I said, I think we might be able to help each other. I'm guessing MarTech is doing their post-acquisition purge. Something like that. How does 7:30 a.m. at Westside Cafe sound? It's neutral territory, away from both offices. Kira mentioned you're facing a deadline. 7:30 works, I replied, surprised by how steady I sounded. After we hung up, I sat on the couch, staring at the wall. Was I really about to jump ship to the competition? But it wasn't a ship anymore. It was a lifeboat, with wholesale MarTech was tossing people overboard. I opened my laptop and pulled up my personal notes, not the company CRM, but my own files, who to call when legal stalled contracts, which court OS were planning overhauls, who was quietly unhappy with MarTech's changes. Not confidential, but priceless. These relationships, I built them, I earned them, and tomorrow, I'd find out what they were worth. I checked on Lucas before bed. He was asleep, one arm wrapped around his stuffed dinosaur, his inhaler on the nightstand. I'm going to fix this, I whispered, I promise. I didn't sleep, I just lay there, running through every scenario. Was I being reckless, disloyal? But loyal to what? A company that no longer existed, a name slapped onto a spreadsheet under assets acquired. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I dressed carefully in my sharpest suit, polished heels, hair styled, makeup perfect. Armor. I dropped Lucas at school, hugged him tighter than usual. You okay, Mom? He asked. I will be, I said, and I believed it. The Westside Cafe was quiet at 7:30. A few early birds with laptops and cappuccinos. Cameron was easy to spot. Silver at the temples, casual but expensive clothes. Kira was already seated beside him. I took a breath and approached their table. "Eleanor Reeves," Cameron said, standing to shake my hand. "I've heard a lot about you from Kira, and from every client we failed to steal from Erickson." I smiled. "Well, those clients might be open to new conversations." His brow lifted. "Is that right? Let's sit. Tell me what's going on over there." So I did. I told him everything about the acquisition, the culture decay, the layoffs, the 60% pay cut wrapped in corporate buzzwords. Cameron listened, eyes steady. When I finished, he nodded slowly, then looked at Kira. "Ellie," he said, "we've been waiting for this conversation for a long time." That sent his hun in the air. I took a sip of coffee, letting it land. This wasn't just about getting out. This was about taking control. "What exactly do you mean?" Cameron leaned in. "I mean, we've tried to recruit you 3 times in the last 2 years. Each time, your loyalty to Erickson kept you there. But Martech doesn't deserve that loyalty, and we're prepared to make you an offer that reflects your real value." He slid a folder across the table. Inside, Director of Strategic Partnerships, $165,000 base salary, 25% annual bonus potential, full health coverage including Lucas's medications, stock options, signing bonus if I started within 2 weeks. I stared at it. It was $35,000 more than my old salary, more than triple what Martech had just offered. "Why this much?" I asked. Cameron didn't miss a beat. "Because you're the reason. We've lost 8 major contracts to Erickson, because client retention with you is 94%, well above the industry average. Because I've had Cord OS tell me flat out, they stayed because of you." He took a sip of coffee. "You're not just an account manager, Eleanor. You're a competitive edge, one Martech was too arrogant to recognize." Something shifted in me then, like a weight I didn't know I was carrying finally dropped. And then Kira added, "Tell her the rest." Cameron nodded. "We've heard that Martech is moving all client services overseas within 8 months. The pay cuts are just step 1. They're trying to push people out, so they don't have to pay severance." My stomach dropped. "How do you know that?" "Their new VP of Ops used the same playbook at Taladini. Exact same timeline." So that was it. They weren't just cutting my pay, they were cutting me gradually, quietly. "I need to pick up my son by 3, I said, "but I'd like to see your office today before I give them an answer." "Of course," Cameron said. "Let's introduce you to the team." 3 hours later, I walked back into Martech's regional office, with Nexus' signed offer letter in my bacon fire in my chest. Dennis was waiting in the conference room, with Tracy beside him. My file was already on the table. "Eleanor," Dennis said, not looking up, "have you made your decision?" "I have a few questions first," I said, calmly taking a seat. Dennis sighed. "We need a yes or no today. The restructuring affects your entire department." "I understand. I manage our top 10 accounts. Who's handling the Westfield rollout next month, or Alder's renewal?" "We'll redistribute," Dennis said. "That's not your concern." "Actually, it is. Sonia at Westfield expects me to be there. Mark at Alder personally requested me for the negotiation." Dennis' tone hardened. "Those are company relationships, Eleanor." "Sure, just like moving client services overseas is company restructuring." That got his attention. His expression faltered. "Where did you hear that?" "So it's true." "That's confidential." "So it's a yes." I leaned in. "Were you planning to tell me before, or after I accepted a 60% pay cut and trained my replacement?" "This meeting is about your offer," Dennis said tightly. "Now do you accept or not?" I looked him dead in the eye. "I quit." Silence. "You can't just walk away," he said. "My original Erickson contract still in effect. He can. It says notice equals severance. Since Erickson only offered 1 week, that's my required notice." He blinked. "You still need to transition your accounts." "Nope. Contract clause 6B compensation reduction over 15%, waives all transition obligations. I wrote that with Vernon after the Trey Miller fiasco. Look it up. Tracy looked like she wanted to disappear into her seat. You'll regret this, Dennis said quietly. We'll review every message, every file. If you shared client data. I didn't, but relationships, trust, those are mine, and I'm taking them with me. I stood and walked to the door. Oh, and just so we're clear, I accepted a position with Nexus. I start Monday. You never had me sign a non-compete. The look on his face. Glorious. My team was waiting by my desk. Maria, Devon, Priya, survivors, friends. Is it true? Priya asked. You're leaving. I nodded. Devon looked scared. What about us? Check your emails in NR. I packed fast. Photos, my mug, Lucas's backup inhaler. 9 years, 1 cardboard box. Security escorted me out. Policy for senior exits, like I was a threat. But I didn't cry. Because I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I was walking away with my dignity, my value and a future. Not in the elevator, not in the lobby, not even in my car. Instead, I pulled out my phone and made 3 calls. First, to Cameron. I've quit, I said. They took it about as well as you'd expect. We'll have legal standing by, he replied. Don't worry. Second, to Vernon Chamey, former boss and the founder of Marrickson. He answered on the 4th ring. Sounded like he was somewhere warm, probably holding a drink with a slice of lime in it. Ellie, everything okay? Not really. Martech slashed my salary by 60%. I resigned and took a position at Nexus. Silence. I'm sorry, he finally said. It wasn't supposed to go this way. But it did, I said. And now they're threatening legal action for accepting a job that pays me what I'm worth. A pause. What do you need from me? Just a reminder to Gerald Martech that Marrickson never implemented non-competes, because, as you said, if we don't treat people well enough to make them want to stay, we deserve to lose them. Vernon exhaled, the guilt evident. I'll call him. This isn't right. The 3rd call was the most important. Sonia West, Cord O at Westfield International, our biggest client. Sonia, it's Ellie. Ellie, I was just about to call and need to move up the implementation timeline. The board. Sonia, I interrupted gently. I'm no longer with Marrickson, as of today. The pause on her end was sharp. What? Where are you going? Nexus Technologies. Our backup? Yes. Another pause. Is this because of Martech? We've been concerned. Service has been off. They removed me from your account, quietly. Without telling us. They wouldn't even tell me who's replacing me. Her voice went cold with clarity. This implementation is critical. We specifically requested you in the contract. I know. I'm sorry. Don't be. Send me your Nexus contact info. We need to talk. By the time I picked up Lucas, my phone had exploded. 14 texts. 23 emails. 6 from my team forwarding Dennis panicked instructions to maintain continuity and prepare client transition documents. 1 from Vernon, confirming he'd spoken directly to Gerald Martech. And the rest, from clients who'd already heard I was gone. Mom, Lucas climbed into the car, immediately noticing. Why are you picking me up? It's not Friday. I turned to him, the sweet, observant little boy who carried more than he should have. I left my job today, I said softly. His eyes whitened. The one that makes you cry when you think I'm asleep. My heart cracked. He noticed. Of course he noticed. Yeah, that one. Good, he said. Matter of fact, they didn't treat you nice. Out of the mouths of babes. I got a new job, better pay, better hours, better insurance. Your medicine's covered now. He studied my face. Will you come to my science fair next month? Front row, I said, with embarrassing signs and everything. He grinned. Cool. That night, after Lucas was asleep, my phone rang. Unknown number. This is Eleanor Reeves. Ms. Reeves, this is Gerald Martech. My blood chilled. the CEO himself. "I understand, we have a situation," he said. "I suppose we do." Vernon called. He's concerned. I also received calls from Sonia West and Mark Chen. They're reevaluating their vendor relationships. I said nothing. "Are you actively encouraging clients to follow you to Nexus?" "No, sir. I've only informed them of my departure. They made their own choices." Dennis Porter says otherwise. Dennis Porter offered me a 60% pay cut with zero role reduction, didn't disclose the job was being outsourced in 8 months, then threatened to sue me for accepting another role. So forgive me if I don't take his version too seriously. Silence. The salary adjustment and outsourcing toes were not approved by me or the executive committee, and yet they happened. Another silence. "What would it take to bring you back?" I nearly laughed. "You're serious?" "I am. Westfield and Alder are worth over $20 million annually. If we lose them, others will follow. Keeping you would cost us far less. So now I was worth it." "Let me get this straight," I said. "You'll pay me now because it's expensive not to, but not because it was wrong to treat me like I didn't matter. I'm offering an opportunity." "No, you're reacting to fallout, and I've already accepted a position at Nexus where I was valued before I had leverage. We're prepared to match their offer, plus a retention bonus." "It's not about money," I said and meant it. "It's about respect. It's about 9 years of loyalty that meant nothing until your bottom line got threatened." "What do you want then?" He sounded baffled. "I want you to treat the people still there better than you treated me. I want you to look at what Dennis Porter is doing to your company and ask, is that really the culture you want to build? That's it. And to stop threatening to sue me. I haven't stolen anything. I've simply refused to be devalued." A long pause. "No lawsuit," he said. "You have my word. I'll be visiting the regional office next week." 3 days later, I started at Nexus. They gave me an office with a door, let me build my own team. Maria and Devin joined within a week. Priya couldn't, their visa was tied to Martech. She cried when she told me. 2 weeks later, Dennis Porter was pursuing other opportunities. Tracy from HR quietly followed. A month in, Sonia called. "Westfield is moving to Nexus. The new team couldn't handle basic scheduling, and when I raised concerns, they told me I was being unrealistic." Mark Chen from Alder followed. Then Breerwood, then Ted Rorp. By month 6, 5 of my former top 10 clients had joined me. Not because I recruited them, but because trust matters. Because relationships matter. And when you treat someone like a disposable line item, you forget people notice when they're gone. Gerald kept his word, no lawsuit, but Martech restructured the entire regional office. The outsourcing plan, abandoned, salaries, adjusted. Too late. It's been 3 years. I'm now Executive Vice President of Client Success at Nexus. I have a team of 22. I earn more than I ever imagined. And I'm home for dinner every night. Science fairs, soccer games, school projects, I'm there. Last month, I ran into Vernon Chang at a conference. He hugged me, told me he was proud. "You leaving Marrickson," he said, "was the smartest move of your life. I wish I'd protected you better." "It's business," I replied, echoing Gerald's words. "But that's a lie. It's always personal. Our work, our worth, our peace, these things matter deeply. Companies just find ways to pretend otherwise, though justify treating people like numbers." The real revenge. It wasn't the clients who followed me, or Dennis getting fired, or Martech losing millions, or my corner office. The real revenge was rediscovering my worth, looking at a broken system and saying, "No, I deserve better," and then building that better on my own terms. So, if you're stuck in a job that's draining you, if you're told you're lucky to be there, if they treat you like you're expendable, remember this. You have options. You have power. You have worth. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply walking away and never looking back.